With hundreds of videos and thousands of photos, Shanann Watts meticulously built an image of a perfect, thriving family on social media. Her Facebook page was a sun-drenched gallery of happiness, a modern-day domestic dream broadcast for all to see. In these self-shot videos, her husband, Chris, was portrayed as the ultimate family manner devoted husband, a doting, hands-on father. Their 2 young daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste, were depicted as little angels, their lives filled with laughter, songs, and endless affection. The family was on the verge of expanding, with Shanann joyfully announcing her 3rd pregnancy, a boy they planned to name Nico. They took picture-perfect vacations, celebrated every small milestone, and seemed to embody the aspirational ideal of American family life. To the world looking in through the glowing screen of a smartphone, the Watts family was a model of love and stability. But no one, not even their closest friends, knew that behind the curated perfection of their digital life, a horrific and unimaginable truth was festering, about to be exposed in the most brutal way possible. The idyllic facade was about to crumble, revealing a foundation of lies, deceit, and ultimately pure evil. The first thread of this carefully woven tapestry of lies began to unravel on August 13th, 2018. It all started with a simple, unanswered text message. When Shanann, who had returned from a business trip in the early hours of the morning, failed to respond to her friend Nico Atkinson's messages and missed a doctor's appointment, a knot of worry began to form. That worry quickly escalated to panic, prompting Atkinson to call the police. The initial footage from an officer's Bodycam captures the unsettling calm of the Watts' suburban home in Frederick, Colorado. An officer arrives to conduct a welfare check, and Chris Watts, having been called home from work, lets him in. His demeanor is strange, a placid and awkward concern that does unquite match the gravity of a situation where his pregnant wife and 2 small children have vanished without a trace. Who, as he walks police through the eerily quiet house, pointing out that Shanann's purse, keys, and phone are all still there. His performance begins. Later, this performance would reach a national stage. Chris gave a series of television interviews, standing on his front porch, looking directly into the news cameras with a practiced, sorrowful gaze. He pleaded for his family to return, his voice cracking just enough to be convincing. Shanann, Bella, Celeste, he begged, if you're out there, just come back. It was, for all intents and purposes, a perfect performance by a devastated husband and father, desperate for his family's safe return. But even the most convincing performances can't withstand the scrutiny of a real investigation, and the lies couldn't hold forever. The first significant crack in Chris's story came not from a witness, but from the unblinking eye of a neighbor's security camera. The footage captured in the early hours of the same morning his family disappeared showed Chris suspiciously backing his work truck up to his garage in unusual action that contradicted his timeline and suggested he was loading something large and heavy. This digital ghost from the past cast a long shadow of doubt over his claims of ignorance. That doubt followed him into the sterile, high-pressure environment of the police interrogation room. Faced with pointed questions from seasoned investigators, Chris's story began to fray at the edges. His answers became evasive, his body language screamed deception, and the calm facade he had maintained for the cameras started to crumble under pressure. The definitive moment came when he agreed to a polygraph test, a last-ditch effort to prove his innocence. The result was not just a failure. It was a spectacular, undeniable failure. The needles on the chart danced wildly, confirming what investigators already suspected. This grieving husband was not a victim. He was a perpetrator, hiding a terrible, monstrous secret behind a mask of sorrow. This is the moment the truth is laid bare, not in a flurry of shouted accusations, but in the suffocating quiet of a small room. There are no guns drawn, no knives brandished. There are just cold, calculated words that dismantle a family and reveal the monster within. After the polygraph results were revealed, Chris Watts was left alone in the interrogation room. His father was brought in, a final, desperate attempt by law enforcement to appeal to any shred of humanity that might remain. For hours, Chris continued to deflect, to weave new threads into his tapestry of lies, even attempting to blame Shanann. But finally, under the weight of the evidence and the quiet disappointment in his father's eyes, he broke. He confessed to killing his wife Shanann, claiming it happened in a fit of rage after an argument about their separation. It was a shocking admission, but it was not the whole story. As investigators pressed him, refusing to accept this partial truth, he was forced to tell the rest of it, the most horrifying part. He described how, after murdering his wife, his daughters, Bella and Celeste, were still alive. He then drove them, along with their mother's body, to a remote oil work site, and there he committed the final, unthinkable act, where he hid the bodies of his little girls, placing them into separate oil tanks. Woe's the detail that turned a family tragedy into an act of pure, incomprehensible evil. Why? It's the question that echoes in the wake of such a monstrous act. Why would a man who presented himself as a loving father and husband annihilate his entire family? The answer, as it so often does, emerged from the shadows of a secret life. Investigators methodically pieced together the motive from a trail of digital breadcrumbs. Chris Watts was deeply enmeshed in an affair with a colleague, Nico. Text messages between them revealed a man infatuated, desperate to build a new future. He had told his mistress he was separating from his wife, painting a picture of a fresh start, a life free from the responsibilities he had once seemed to embrace. This desire for a new beginning was compounded by severe financial pressure. The Watts family was drowning in over $70,000 of debt, facing lawsuits and the looming possibility of foreclosure. The perfect family that Shanann so proudly displayed on Facebook had, for Chris, become a cage. He no longer saw his wife and daughters as a family to be cherished, but as obstacles to his personal freedom and his new relationship. He wanted to escape, and in his twisted, sociopathic mind, The cost of that escape was the lives of his pregnant wife and his 2 innocent children. Today, Shanann's hundreds of Facebook videos are still there, preserved online as digital ghosts. They play on a loop, a haunting and painful reminder of an unimaginable tragedy. The images of a smiling, happy family are now viewed through the dark filter of hindsight. The video of Bella singing a song she wrote, calling her daddy her hero, is almost unbearable to watch. These once joyful clips have become artifacts of a crime, evidence of a life that was a lie. The final chilling visual is the stark contrast between 2 images of the same man. Chris Watts is smiling proudly with his daughters wrapped in his arms, and Chris Watts in a drab prison jumpsuit, his face a blank, emotionless mask. The Chris Watts case serves as a terrifying lesson that sometimes the most horrifying monsters aren't the ones hiding in the shadows or lurking in dark alleys. They can be the ones smiling at us, right in our own homes, right on our own screens, hiding their true nature behind the carefully constructed mask of a perfect husband and father.